Hey, you guys, how's it going? So, one big problem that you find in game development, be it video game development, board game development, card game development, is how kind of like the map's gonna be laid out. So, here I'm drawing a little diagram of like the two most generic map designs. So you have a straightforward, usually cube or some sort of almost symmetrical shape, which you turn into a maze of sorts. And then over here on the right, we have a kind of out there wild, it can be any shape you want. And instead of using like symmetrical blocks, you use just these wild little objects, like let's say a broken car or an overgrown tree, stuff like that. And each of them have their downsides and upsides. And really, what you use is up to you. But one thing that I especially like to do is I will take the two of them and kind of combine them. So what you do is you'd have the outer little outside area would be it's more of the right side, the more wild. You can use any shape you want, and it also helps with like different areas of the map. You could have one side of forest, one side of mountain range, that sort of thing. Then you incorporate the maze-like parts on the inside. You can use cars as part of the maze. You can use all that stuff as part of the maze, and then you can, let's say, chuck a little boss in there, maybe a chest, something like that. So, one thing you gotta really realize is like, no matter what map design you choose, as long as it works for your game, you made the right decision. Now we're going to briefly go over some of the pros and cons of each different map design. So with the first one, it's very simple. It can be created pretty quickly, but you do have to it does take a little bit more time than the other design, just because, you have to make sure that there's not too many dead ends, too many straightaway paths, everything's closed in enough and not too wide open, but also not too tight together, that sort of thing. One plus is you really don't have to worry about the screen size just because, or the player going out of bounds or anything like that, just because, you have solid walls that define where things are going to go. The players are also going to want to kind of learn the way of the map more than with the more open kind. And all around, it's a very it's a very good map design. Now over onto the right side, the main problem with this is just because it's just with like how the border works and also the obstacles. They can cause some glitches because when you use obstacles that have different hitboxes than the players, it can mess things up. And also, if you're only able to use cube hitboxes for your obstacles, it's not going to feel good in game. But the aesthetic is going to just rock so hard, and truly the aesthetic is probably the largest plus with this version of map. So personally, I do like it, and also it gives your players just an amazing amount of freedom because they don't have to exactly follow one straight path. They can veer off into any path that they want. It's very unconstricted, and it definitely helps with more open, like free roam games. But if you're doing an RPG, I recommend going with the first map design just because it's very straightforward and it kind of guides the player along to where you want them to go. Anyways, this was just a really short video. If you really want me to, if this video gets, let's say, 30 likes, a little ambitious goal, but if this video gets 30 likes, I'll make another video going way, way, way more in depth in the different types of maps I've used, and that sort of thing.